Hello everyone, my name's Brian and welcome back to another Hunter Hazard. So for everyone that doesn't know, Hunter Hazard is one of the series I'm doing, which covers the hunters, and with this series I'll take a look at all their abilities, how I like to build a specific god, and how I like to play them. So for this episode we will take a look at Cupid, this adorable little bee thing. Okay, let's just head right into his kit and start off with his passive. Each time Cupid hits a basic attack, he will get a stack. This stack will increase the damage and the healing of a certain ability. His 1, his 2 and his 4 are augmented by it and will have increased either healing or damage. This stack will apply 2% additional damage or 2% additional healing per stack at a maximum of 8 stacks. So you'll deal 16% more damage or you'll heal 16% more if you are fully stacked. Also, when you're fully stacked, your 1 as well as your ultimate will have a stun portion. It is now applied to the Bacchus, and Bacchus is already down for first blood thanks to a nice CC chain. Definitely very, very potent. Okay, so his first ability is one you've already seen me use a couple of times, and that's Hard Bomb. You will fire a bomb on someone. If you hit them, you will deal damage on the initial hit, and after a couple of seconds, 3 seconds to be exact, it will detonate, dealing more damage in an area around the target. It can be minion, can be buff camp, can be anything that can get a ability on it. So phoenixes and towers and such will not be afflicted by it, but minions, titans, fire giant, gods, etc. will be afflicted by that area of effect damage. It deals a decent amount of damage. It slows for 20% while it is applied to someone, and it's applied for 3 seconds, so that's definitely, it's decent slow. And if you have your passive fully stacked, so above my portrait you can see my stacks. I have 4 stacks at the moment, so 4 hearts are red. If they're all fully stacked, as that is now the case, then you will see a heart turning around my character. Well, in this case it is a hive, but you will see an indication on Cupid. If you're against him, you will see an indication if he has his passive up. So if you look for that, then you know that he has a stun capability on his 1. This stun will only stun for 1 second, but it can be very annoying, especially against certain combinations or when you have enough team follow-up. As you can now see a little hive floating around me in a circle, and that indicates that I have my passive fully stacked. It's not too difficult to stack it up. It stacks on minions, it stacks on successful basic attacks, so it's quite easy to stack up. The second ability is Share the Love. You will throw out hearts. You will have 3 hearts in total. They will spawn in a kind of triangular formation, and each of them will heal your team or yourself depending on who picks it up. So it's you need to pick them up to get the full effect of it. They last for 8 seconds. It's pretty decent, and the heal scales as well, so it can be a decent amount of healing. It's not the world. It's only 3 hearts, so it's not like a good team heal, but it can definitely heal one target up pretty well, or just a bit on everyone. Well, not everyone, on 3 targets. It also is affected by the passive. As for, it provides more healing while it's fully stacked. And as you can see, the stun on that Bakasura, because my 1 was with the passive fully stacked. His third ability is his only escape. It is called Flutter. You will dash forward, you will leave a trail behind you, and this trail will increase movement speed of people that walk on it. So kind of like Habua's carpet, but it doesn't provide you any slow immunity. So it's just the 30% movement speed increase. There's no scaling on it, so it's all ranks, 30% additional movement speed. It also provides a buff for Cupid, which lasts for 6 seconds, and that will increase his attack speed by 10% at first rank up to a maximum of 30% at maximum rank. So it is a decent amount of additional attack speed. Do you want to level it up before you level up any other abilities? Probably not. because it is your escape. You don't always want to use it offensively, and the heal is pretty powerful if you just go for it before you go for your flutter levels, your third ability. So we have arrived at his ultimate, his final ability, Fields of Love. You will spawn a Field of Love. It's a pretty large area of effect. It is very good for kind of getting someone stuck into it that relies on escapes, because the entire area of effect has a crippling effect. You will cripple everyone that's inside the radius. Everyone inside the radius will be slowed as well for 35%, which is definitely very, very good. If your passive is fully stacked, then you will, in addition to the damage you deal as it detonates, so it will detonate after a couple of seconds. After the detonation, everyone that's hit by it will be masked. As you can see, the aroma actually purified it, but it has a mask to it. This mask will last for 2.5 seconds, so it's a decent mask. But if you have your passive fully stacked up, it will stun for 1 second as well. So you will have that guaranteed 1 second stun, even though if someone attacks the target that is masked, it will not be broke. Well, the mask will be broken, but he will still be stunned for 1 second. Do take note that if you use your 1 or your ultimate or your 2 with your passive, you will lose all stacks. Even if I, for instance, use the hearts now, I will lose the 7 stacks on my passive I have, and I have to restack them, not providing me any additional. As you saw there, I used my basic once, fired the hard bomb. It had the stun option on. Ooh, that was very close. It had the stun option on it. I fired that on someone that wasn't in the fight though, but he was forced out because he was going to be stunned. And that's not the situation you want to be in. You also never want to be close to a teammate when hard bomb is afflicted on you. If you're afflicted by hard bomb, get away from your team, get away from minions if you can, because if the stun, or just not the stun, if just the damage is enough to finish off someone or deal a good amount of damage, you don't want that to happen. You don't want your teammate to be stunned, so you'll just get out of the way, make sure that they don't get stunned. If you're not sure if Cupid has the stun passive up when he fired it, still go out of the way. You don't want to deal damage to your teammates by that AoE effect on the hard bomb. So that kind of covers every single of his abilities. A good counter for his ultimate though, by the way, is sprint, because you are slowed. It takes a decent amount of time before it detonates, so you can just kind of get out if you're quick enough. If you're in the center and you don't have sprint, then you won't be able to get out. So that's why sprint is a very good active. You will be able to get out quite easily. If you don't, then it's a bit more difficult. So that kind of covers his entire kit. You are able to do kind of combinations with it. If you hit the 1, they will be slowed for 20%. If you had your passive with it as well, you can then pop your ultimate on top of it. They will be stunned because of your passive when the hard bomb detonates, and then they will be stunned inside your ultimate range, which also will detonate for a good amount of damage and for the mass. Unless of course you break it immediately, but you kind of get the point. So it's a very good zoning tool as well, his ultimate. You don't want to stand in it. It deals a good amount of damage. It can mass you if it isn't broken. 2.5 seconds of CC is pretty long, especially in a team fight. If you're out of the team fight for 2.5 seconds, then it can already be over. Depends on, of course, who you're playing and all the other things in a match, but you kind of get the point. So that covers all of his abilities. I'll now go over my item choices for Cupid. But first off, let's go for the relics. So, relics I usually pick just as a counter. They have a couple of abilities. Well, mostly one ability that kind of made me want to go for the purification beads. And that's of course the fact that they have an Awilish. Awilish with a knock-up is just extremely powerful. As you can see, she can't jump away because of my ultimate. She is able to get out, unfortunately, because she had the... I think she used Sanctuary or Purification Beads to get out. Wasn't paying too much attention, but she got out by using a relic. She wasn't able to jump with Suku, just because she was in my aura, which cripples. In my ultimate, that cripples. So, Purification, just for the Aurelish, because they also have a Bacchus in addition, and I don't want to deal with Bacchus Intoxicate as well, if there are a lot of them kind of dealing damage to me. So that's also a reason why Purification can be very helpful. And after that, of course, the Sanctuary. I feel like Sanctuary in this game is very important. Bakasura can deal a lot of damage very quickly, and if he cripples you and you don't have your Purification beats up, you can't get away that easily. As well as Rama's ultimate arrows will deal a lot of damage. A Poise Detonation, if you're caught inside of it, will deal a lot of damage. With Sanctuary you can kind of prevent that from happening. My build is kind of oriented on the fact that he has a lot of abilities that deal damage, and as you can see, the stun utilized pretty well. Nice Sanctuary by the Bakasura is forced out, pretty easy forced out. I only use my dash and my 1 with the passive stun, of course. You always want to get that passive up if you are able to, and again you can see it is up for me at the moment. I went for the Transcendence, like I said, a lot of power, good for your ability damage on your well, abilities, and it will also help you out just in general. Let's see, kind of use my Sanctuary. I don't think it was necessary, and it was nice peel from my Hercules, again pushing away the Bakasura. Was kind of a response to taking a lot of damage. I didn't want to take any risks, but well played by the Hercules. Transcendence will also provide you a good amount of mana, which is important. Although you can sustain up some mana. That's something I forgot to mention about his hearts. If a teammate picks up a heart, you will get 30 mana regen. So you will have a cost on your hearts. As you can see, I have now, I think that's 50 mana for my hearts. And if my teammates pick up all the hearts, I will actually gain a net total of 40 mana for it. So it can be useful to sustain up your mana, but if you don't always want to rely on it, it has cooldown, of course. Your abilities cost a decent amount. Transcendence is a very good option. With Transcendence I paired the boots. I like power boots a lot on hunters. There are not an awful lot of hunters where I like the attack speed boots. Probably only Shibalanka. It might change with the upcoming patch where they increase the attack speed of the attack speed boots, as well as providing it a little bit of mana. But we'll have to see about that when we are going to try it out next patch. But that might be a change in the meta as for how I like to play hunters. There are a lot of people that like attack speed boots on hunters anyway, but it depends on your overall build if it's better or worse. My third item is Asi. I like to get some additional attack speeds, a little bit of penetration, and of course some lifesteal. It's a very good item in addition to a Transcendence. It is very good with Transcendence, pairs very well. It's definitely a recommendation if you go for that one. Because if you pick something else, like for instance the Devourer's Gauntlet, if you go for double stacking, you won't have as much attack speed, which is very important tool. Well, not tool, it's just a very important thing you need as a hunter, is a decent amount of attack speed. Maybe Ul the least of them, because Ul can go entirely, entirely ability based, but for all other hunters I recommend, of course, some decent amount of attack speed. After that I went for an Executioner. Executioner is in this case a flavor pick, and looks like I'm going to be picked up because of that slow. Used my escape, didn't have Purification or Sanctuary up, and a Weakening Curse was used. Well played by the enemies, were able to pick me up, and can Thor get away? Doesn't look like it. So a soft deicide for the enemies, not bad, well played. Especially if you're behind by a little bit, not too much, but they are behind by a little bit. Okay, the Executioner is a flavor pick for what I was intending with this build. I wanted to go for a bit of a crit build because I'm quite ahead and it's just a very good build altogether. I wanted to go for the Executioner to also deal with the Bacchus a little bit, because Bacchus is extremely tanky and difficult to deal with. Yeah, it's not something you really want to. So I went for Execution. Actually got the buff, nice. But the Executioner attack speed, penetration helps me deal with the Bacchus tankiness, as well as it pairs very well with crit build, which I am going for at the moment. I picked up a Wind Demon. I feel like it's one of the best crit items you can get as first crit item, except for maybe Rage. Rage provides you more crit chance overall, but I feel like if you get a crit on the Wind Demon, you will attack quicker, you'll have more movement speed, and I feel like it's in general a little bit better, because it also provides a little bit more power. Looks like Aurelius want to fight me and not sure why. My passive was fully stacked up and she is going to get stunned by it. And as you saw there was a lot of power on that fight. Although Aurelius did a decent amount of damage to me as well. So never underestimate an Aurelius. She can definitely do a lot of damage. But she is only level 17. I'm level 20. I'm a bit too far ahead for her to box me one-on-one. Otherwise I did need to be a little bit more careful. But in this case that was not necessary. I will finish off this build with a Deathbringer. Deathbringer will allow me to have a lot of burst. Cupid's base damage is not extremely high compared to, for instance, Xbalanque with his passive. But crit will work out on him pretty well anyway. But I feel like Deathbringer is just a lot of burst. And as you can see, decent amount of crits already on the Bakasura without Deathbringer finished. So definitely not bad. You do need to be a little bit careful. I don't want to get engaged on by the Bakasura. And of course the Quash ult looks like Aurelius wants to go for another round, but my entire team is around. Is again picked up, but unfortunately enough, Thor was alone in the front line. Was picked up by the enemies. Bit unfortunate, but I guess it doesn't matter too much. So that kind of covers everything I do with the build in this game. There are of course other situations. If you're for instance against Rama. He did do a good amount of damage, but I just had a little bit more luck with my crits. Was able to pick him up. Didn't miss a shot, so that definitely worked out. Since we are almost at the end of the game, I wanted to go for Deathbringer. But in this case, I'll go for a Malice. That has to do with the fact that the game is almost over. I didn't really want to wait any longer to get the Deathbringer. And overall, if you look at the DPS wise, the Malice provides a little bit more damage than the Deathbringer. Unless you crit like 4 times in a row, then Deathbringer is better because the damage over time from Malice will be reset every single time, and Deathbringer will just deal the full damage every single time. So in that case, if you crit a lot, Deathbringer is better. If you don't crit as much, Malice is better. I usually go for Deathbringer anyway, and that has to do with the fact that if they have healing or something like that, they will have time to respond to the Malice ticks over time, and if you have Deathbringer, then that damage will be instant, so they can't really respond to it as quickly. So that kind of covers my thoughts behind the build. I feel like I have a lot of damage with this build. I'm ahead by a lot, so that makes it more easy for me to kind of get this build going. But it's not extremely expensive. You are not going to buy a pair of chins, or just chin sass, because with crit, it's not really worth it, to be honest. If you are against a lot of tanky targets or targets with high HP, going a build with chins in it is a lot better. But since the only tanky target on the opponent's side is the Bacchus, it's not really worth it, to be honest. Looks like we can maybe save the Aurelius, and it looks like my hard bomb and my crit will be enough to finish it off. Nice sanctuary by the Kukulkan will secure his life. I think he would have died if he didn't. Well done, nice peel from us as well to kind of kill him as quickly as possible. Sometimes killing someone is the best peel you can have. No enemies around, you're fine, completely fine. I picked up the red buff here because the attack speed buff is on the right side picked up by the enemies, and on the left side is a bit too much of a threat to pick it up on my own. And also the crit will get a lot of damage, additional damage from it as well. Oh, I missed the hard bomb. If I hit the hard bomb, I could commit to the Bakasura, but as you can see, the damage over time proc from the Malice deals a very good amount of damage. And only 1 kill left to go. We can go for the Bacchus. Maybe he dies. And yes, as you can see, he died to the Malice proc. He just died to the Malice proc. He did use Shell to try and prevent it. It did deal less damage, but it was still enough to pick him up. Unfortunately for him, he was not able to survive, and we were able to pick up this victory with Cupid. So, I hope you kind of learned something about Cupid. I will give a brief summary of his abilities. So, his one is a hard bomb. It will stun if your passive is fully stacked up and you use it on someone. It has an AoE effect after a couple of seconds, which detonates and will deliver the stun. So it can stun multiple enemies and hit multiple enemies at the detonation part. Your 2 will provide health, 3 hearts, which can be picked up by anyone, your team or yourself. If your teammate picks it up, you will gain mana for it in return. Your third ability is a dash. You will leave a a trail behind, which provides 30% movement speed, as well as it will provide you, well, you don't have to be on the trail for it, but using your dash will provide you with a buff for attack speed, 10% up to a maximum of 30% attack speed, which is not bad. And your ultimate is a huge area of effect. It cripples immediately. It will detonate after a couple of seconds. It will mess for 2.5 seconds. And if your passive was fully stacked up, you will have a stun effect on it as well. Also, the damage of your ultimate, your 1, and the healing on your 2 are all increased with the amount of passive stacks you have, up to a maximum of 16%. So it's very good. So, I hope you guys learned something about Cupid. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any requests, please let me know. And as always, good luck, have fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one.